Honestly, we've spent so much energy scanning our lives for triggers that we've actually forgotten to look for the tiny moments that tell our nervous system it's finally safe to exhale. For many of us, life has become a marathon of high alert moments. We call it stress or burnout, right? But what we're really experiencing is a state of hypervigilance. It's that heavy, persistent feeling in our chests, the way we brace ourselves before opening an email, or that quiet anxiety that keeps us waiting for the other shoe to drop. I mean, we've become absolute experts at survival. We can spot a red flag from a mile away, and we know exactly what drains our energy or sets us off. But there's a cost to being this good at identifying what hurts us. We've become so fluent in the language of our triggers that we've almost lost the vocabulary for our healing. We've spent so much time looking for the fire that we've forgotten how to feel the warmth. We're essentially living in a house where the smoke detector is screaming 24/7, even when there isn't a flame in sight. It's exhausting, and deep down we know we can't keep living on high alert forever. This brings us to a question that could change everything for us. Is it actually possible to rewire a brain that's stuck in survival mode without waiting for our external circumstances to change? Can we find a way to feel safe even when our to-do lists are long and the world feels chaotic? Well, we're going to look at how we can stop just managing our stress and start teaching our nervous systems a new way to exist. Let's explore how we reclaim our peace from the inside out. To really understand how we rewire our stress, well, we first have to understand why we're so good at feeling it in the first place. Think about the last time you received 10 compliments and just one single piece of criticism. Which one did you think about as you were trying to fall asleep that night? For most of us, and really for all of us, it's the criticism. See, this isn't a personal flaw or a sign that we're just being negative. It's actually a biological masterpiece called the negativity bias. Our brains are essentially high-tech trigger hunters. Thousands of years ago, noticing the one shadow that looked like a predator, well, it was the difference between life and death. The humans who were relaxed and focused only on the beautiful flowers, they didn't always survive to pass on their genes. We are the descendants of the survivors, the ones who stayed hyper-aware of everything that could go wrong. In today's world, we don't really have many saber-toothed tigers anymore, but our nervous systems haven't caught up to that reality yet. To our brains, a passive-aggressive email from a boss or a confusing text from a partner, it feels like a genuine threat to our survival. When we stay in this state for too long, we enter what we call the survival loop. When we feel triggered, we often judge ourselves. We think we're overreacting or that there's something wrong with our mindset. But we want us to look at it differently. Your brain is actually trying to love you. It's trying to protect you. It's like an overactive security system that doesn't realize the neighborhood is actually safe now. It's an overactive protective mechanism that's simply doing its job too well. It's exhausted, and we're exhausted because of it. But this leads us to, a bit of a biological crossroads. If our brains are literally hardwired by evolution to seek out danger and keep us on guard, it can feel like we're fighting an uphill battle against our own DNA. If survival is the default setting, how do we ever find our way back to a state of true, deep rest? It seems almost impossible to switch off a system that's been refining itself for millennia. However, there is a specific physiological reset button we can use to break the cycle, and it starts with shifting our focus towards something most of us have been overlooking every single day. So, here is the breakthrough we've been waiting for. We often think that to truly heal, we need to perform some kind of massive life overhaul,
maybe quit our jobs, move to a cabin in the woods, or somehow achieve this perfect state of zen. But our nervous system actually operates on a much smaller, more immediate scale. It doesn't need a total transformation to feel safe. It just needs what we call glimmers. Think of it this way. If triggers are the internal red flags that scream danger, then glimmers are those micro moments that whisper, "You are safe." I mean, we've spent so much time cataloging our triggers that we've almost forgotten to look for the tiny cues of safety that exist right in front of us. Glimmers are those small, seemingly insignificant moments that spark a sense of peace. You know, like the way the sun hits a certain corner of the room, the smell of fresh coffee, or maybe a fleeting moment of connection with a pet. When we find a glimmer, we aren't just thinking positive, right? We are actually tapping into our biology. Specifically, we are opening the door to the ventral vagal state. In our world of psychology, this is what we call our social engagement system. It's the biological home of calm, connection, and safety. While our stress response keeps us locked in a basement of high alert, glimmers act as the secret staircase that leads us back up to the light. The shift happens when we realize we don't have to delete our stress to start healing. We just have to start giving our brains consistent evidence that peace still exists in the margins of our day. By intentionally noticing these glimmers, we are effectively rewiring our internal GPS to recognize that safety is an option, even in a chaotic world. But that's not even the most interesting part. While glimmers are always available to us, there is a specific psychological barrier that makes most of us completely glimmer blind during the hours we need them most. To understand why we miss these life rafts in the middle of a storm, we have to look at the negative filter our brain uses to protect us, and how we can finally start to peel it back.
So, how do we actually pull back that filter? You see, we start what we call a glimmer hunt. Think of this as a biological training protocol, not just a mental exercise, but an actual physical workout for our nervous system. Right, so we can start our hunt today with 3 simple steps. First, we have to notice the micro. Most of us are waiting for a huge win just to feel okay, but glimmers are tiny by nature. We're looking for just one small thing that feels safe, peaceful, or even just neutral. It might be the warmth of a coffee mug in our hands, a specific song intro that makes us feel seen, or maybe the way a pet looks at us when we walk into the room. We aren't looking for a life-changing epiphany here. We're just looking for one tiny moment that feels okay. Second, we practice the 5-second savor. This is the part we usually skip because our brains are in such a rush to find the next threat. Firmly but gently, when we spot a glimmer, we don't just check it off a list and move on. No, we pause. We let that feeling sit in our bodies for 5 full seconds. We're essentially signaling to our brain that this moment matters. We're telling our internal GPS that safety is a destination worth noting. Third, we keep a glimmer journal. At the end of the day, we write down just one glimmer we found. That's it. Now, we have to be very clear here. This isn't toxic positivity. I mean, we aren't trying to good vibes our way out of real problems or ignore the trauma we've been through. This is biological retraining. We're building a new muscle for safety, so our nervous system doesn't stay permanently stuck in survival mode. We're giving ourselves the evidence that while the world can be heavy, there are still anchors keeping us steady. By doing this, we're literally teaching our eyes to see the light that's already in the room. But you see, that's not even the most surprising part. While we're busy hunting for these small moments of peace, there is a hidden psychological phenomenon that can actually make our glimmers contagious to the people around us. However, there's a catch. If
if we don't understand how our social nervous system works, we might accidentally be triggering the people we love most without saying a single word. That contagious piece, it really starts within us, you know? In those quiet moments where we finally decide to reclaim our focus. See, we aren't just building a habit, we're building a sanctuary. It's so easy to feel like focusing on a sunset, or even just a warm cup of tea is somehow too small, especially when the world feels so heavy right now. But we need to understand, together, that by choosing to see glimmers, we aren't ignoring the pain around us. Not at all. We're simply fueling ourselves, so we actually have the capacity to handle it. We aren't checking out. We're checking in. We're giving our nervous systems that essential, all-clear signal, ensuring that we don't burn out when life gets, well, loud. This is how we become durable. This is how we truly grow.
So, we'd really like to invite you to join us in what we call a glimmer hunt. Right now, in the comments below, maybe share just one tiny glimmer from your day. It could be the sound of the rain, a kind text from a friend, or honestly, just the way your favorite sweater feels. By sharing these, you see, we're creating a collective safety cue for everyone who reads them. We can actually turn this space into one of shared, regulated peace. If you value these deep dives into how we can heal and grow together, please feel free to subscribe to Psyche Unveiled. We're so incredibly grateful to have you in this community, walking this path toward a calmer mind with us. Until next time, let's keep looking for the light in those small, quiet spaces. And please, stay gentle with yourselves.